the Hikvision Access Control product introduction as distributed here in Australia by NES Corporation. My name's Greg Kingsley, I'm the product manager here at NES, and during this range of videos we'll be taking you right through from the introduction through to the programming and operation of the system. The system is very powerful and versatile that can be used for hundreds of different applications, from residential to office buildings, schools, transportation, government offices, banks, prisons, etc. etc. If we break any access control system down, we can break it into three main categories, being hardware, the controller, card readers, locks, exit buttons, etc. The software to manage and program the system, and also then we look at the complete system structure or system solution, all of which this Hikvision access control range can handle without a problem. Now let's have a look at the hardware, mainly the controller and the card readers that are available from Hikvision. If we look at the system framework, we can look at multiple parts that build up to a total system. This can start off at what we call system terminals, which are really one-door systems, to system controllers, which are four-door controllers, and multiple terminals, multiple controllers can be expanded on the one system to build hundreds of doors. These are connected onto a local area network up to the management computer for programming and managing the system, and this can be either the 4200 software or the Hike Central. And we'll look at each one of these in more details in the coming slides. As part of the overall system, there is the professional controller, which is a four-door controller. There's a range of professional card readers, and we'll look at these in more details. These are both RS485 and Weergand, with or without a keypad. There's also the NES UltraProx range, which is an Eco, which is a Weergand card reader. In addition to these readers, we've got a couple of other specialised readers that can be used for different application. The first one is our long range reader. The long range reader is usually used for car park entrance, and these readers can read up to 16 metres. They can be site adjusted between 3 to 16 metres, so you can then adjust them on site to suit the exact application required. The next we have is our Weergand RF keys. This comes as two parts. The receiver section can either be an internal or external receiver, and then we've got our radio keys. Now the radio keys can come in either 2-button or 4-button. Each radio key has its unique Weergand number, and on the receiver there is 4 different outputs. So for every button that is pressed, button 1, 2, 3, 4, if when you push button 1 it will output 1, button 2 will output 2, and then you know exactly which radio key was used and which button was used. And then you can program that accordingly of what you want the controller to do. We also have a full range of BQT readers, which are high security readers, which then have card encryption, so encryption between the card and the reader. Also available within the range is elevator lift control. There's the Pro terminals, which are with or without fingerprint readers. There's an entry-level Eco terminal, we'll have a look at that, it's a very powerful entry level, and an all-in-one terminal, again which we'll have a look at in more details in a moment. The professional controller, being the 2600 series, has got some special features written for NES for the Australian market. It comes in 2 different models, being a 2-door or dual-door system, as well as a 4-door version. By adding multiple controllers onto the network, you can build the system up to support hundreds of doors. Each controller can support up to 4 Weergand readers or 8 RS485 readers. Each controller will support up to 100,000 cards and will log up to 300,000 events. They have many other features that you expect in a professional access control system, from multiple access levels, multi-door interlocking, anti-passback, multi-card function, first card presented in the morning function, TCP/IP communication, so it will communicate back to the front-end computer, and the communication data is encrypted to ensure information security. It is a true standalone high security controller that always makes the decision if communication is lost to the front-end computer. It's supplied in a lockable metal cabinet with a 6 amp power supply, and that power supply is large enough to power up the controller as well as up to 4 magnetic locks. There's also a backup battery which is monitored for voltage and current, and to make it easy for installation there's also a wiring distribution terminal, so installers just need to bring in the card readers, exit buttons, locks, etc. direct to this terminal base, and you don't have to mess around with small connectors on the main board. So as mentioned earlier, the controller will support up to 4 Wiegand card readers in addition to 8 RS485 readers. So if you had a 4-door controller and you wanted card reader in and card reader out on a particular door, then you'd need to wire it in the RS485. There's many other advantages of using the 485, from the cable length, the type of cable. You don't have to use twisted shielded cable like you do in a Wiegand format. So 485 is also fully supervised, so the controller will know if the reader's there, if it's tampered, as well as having full control over LED and buzzer on the 4 wires. So there's great advantages of using RS485, which we'd strongly recommend. When connecting Wiegand card readers to the controller, it's like any other controller. It's a 4-wire power W0, W1 for data 1 and data 0 for the Wiegand. But in addition to that, there's also 3 other wires you can connect, which is a buzzer or beeper wire to control when you want the beeper on the card reader to beep. And there's also an LED, red and blue LED, and they can be fully controlled from an OK output on the controller and also an error output. So therefore, if someone badges a card and they're denied access for any reason, we can get the reader to give 3 beeps so the user does know that they've been denied. The controller also supports 26-bit and 34-bit Wiegand. On the readers, there's a blue wire. When that's connected to ground, the reader will output 26-bit Wiegand. If it's not connected to ground, it will output a 34-bit Wiegand output. So this gives great flexibility. And depending on the vendors of the cards, as we can see here, the card number that we're used of, the 26-bit Wiegand, but also in the middle of the card down the bottom is the 34-bit Wiegand number. So this is handy for when you're programming in the cards. With the vast variety of RS485 readers that are available to connect to the controller, we can run that either direct back on one loop, or we can run a little token ring as shown here on the diagram. So the advantage of this is if the RS485 cable is cut, the card readers can communicate back on the B path. The other advantage of RS485 is the cable length can be up to 1.2 kilometers from the card reader back to the controller, which is a vast improvement over the 100 meters that's available. So which card reader do we stock? Which one do we use for this controller and use for other applications? The great advantage that we have with Hikvision card readers is they're dual technology readers. So they both will output Wiegand output and RS485. On the back of the card reader, there's a set of dip switches, and from there you can select whether you want to have a 485 format or whether you want to use the Wiegand format. When selecting RS485, you then select an address of what you want that card reader to be on the bus, and then if you're selecting Wiegand, you can select whether you want it to be 26-bit Wiegand or 34-bit Wiegand. The reader has color-coded cables coming out, so depending on what format you use, you're ready to run. So if you want to use the Wiegand format, which uses multiple cables on a 1-to-1 cable format, then you've got that covered. Or if you want to use the RS485 on the 485 bus, we've got that covered as well. The controller also includes a fire alarm relay. It interfaces into the fire panel for the building. So in the event of a fire, it will then drop power to all the locks, which fully complies with Australian standard. The controller also includes an abundance of other features, from multiple authentication or multiple access levels, or who can get through what doors at what times, anti-passback, event linkage. So in the case of an event, any event could be a card linkage, it could be alarm input, door open too long, door forced open, or even linked to a camera. Any event that can occur can activate another event on the system. Obviously Hikvision is super powerful in the CCTV market, so obviously linking the access control and CCTV together is a very powerful combination. So with the linkage, when you link to a camera, and you can then program any event, an access granted, access denied, door open too long, door forced open, link that to a camera. So when you're playing back the history of the access control event, it would automatically bring the footage up from that without having to go to an NVR or DVR to do the search. You've got that straight away linked together with your access control event. Very powerful feature. Another feature within the controller is the first card feature. With the first card feature, there's two main modes of operation. The first one, it disables doors from auto unlocking until someone is on site. Within access control systems, it's a common procedure to have doors automatically unlocking in the morning and locking at night. But what happens if it's a public holiday and the user has forgot to put the public holiday in? Or alternatively, people are running late into the office and the doors automatically open at 9 o'clock, but there's no staff member on site as yet. So utilising the first card feature allows you to postpone doors from automatically unlocking at the set time, for example 9 o'clock, until someone's on site, badges their card for the first time to register into the system, someone's on site, and then at this time schedule it can automatically unlock the door. The same works in reverse. If it's, for example, the doors are automatically unlocked to 5 o'clock at night and the staff wanted to go home early, maybe the day before Christmas, etc., then what the user can do is badge his card 3 times at the reader, and that will postpone the unlock time and will relock the doors. Another mode of operation for the first card feature is have the ability to have assigned dedicated cards that when they're first presented at the reader, they will unlock the door and keep the door unlocked for a period of time, whether that be 10 minutes, whether that be 4, 5, 8 hours, and then when they're leaving at night, they can badge the card again, which will then reverse that and automatically lock the doors. This system also has an elevator or lift controller. In the lift controller, that consists of 2 parts. The first one you have is a master controller that connects for programming and holds all the database, and then you have distributed controller, and each distributed controller will support up to 16 relay outputs or 16 floors, and that can be expanded multiple distributed controllers to support up to 128 floors per lift. Each elevator control system can support up to 2 readers, whether they be a WearGAN reader or whether they be RS485 readers. Also available in the range are standalone access control terminals. These are one-door standalone systems that can support up to 100,000 cards and 300,000 events. They have a RS485 for connecting to an external reader if required, and also TCP to connect back to 4200 for programming, etc. If you can't hardwire a LAN to the terminals, then what you can do is you can connect to them via its inboard Wi-Fi network. They also include an onboard camera, not for recording to an NVR, but for taking a photo every time there is an access attempt at the terminal. They are available in 2 different models, one of them without a fingerprint, or the second option is with a fingerprint built in. So with that you can then have card only, PIN, fingerprint, or any combination thereof. In addition to these Pro Series terminal is also the entry level or Eco terminal, which also includes fingerprint reader as standard and Wi-Fi to connect on a Wi-Fi network or hardwired LAN, supports up to 3,000 fingerprints and 3,000 access cards and 100,000 events. So it's a very powerful unit that can be used for either access control or time and attendance even. Also available in the range are video standalone access terminals. These also include a wide angle 2 megapixel camera that get the video stream to record onto an NVR, so you can record from that camera at all times. There's 2 different models available, one with a card reader and one with a card reader and fingerprint reader. Also there's a WearGAN input for putting an additional reader onto it, as well as an exit button for request to exit the doors. So if you hit the left hand side of the button it will ring the doorbell, and if you push the right hand side of the button there's an IP intercom. Currently that will go back to the 4200 software, but in the second half of 2018 also introduced was connection to HiConnect, so you can talk to the person at the front door from an external location or from your smartphone. Another unique feature of this terminal is the ability when adding users with IVMS 4200 software, in addition to adding cards or fingerprints, you can also generate a QR code for each person. Each user can then have dates and times associated, so they can only get access between certain dates, certain times, and that QR code can then be emailed to the person, and when they report on site, they can just badge that QR code in front of the camera to gain access. This can be great for rental accommodations, Airbnbs, where you can issue QR codes remotely, and then you don't have to bother sending cards or codes or anything to the user. They can just scan the QR code and gain access to the times they're allowed to. With all terminals and intercom door stations to that matter that have a relay output to unlock the door strike, there's also concerns that if someone was to take that terminal off the wall, they can short the relay contact out, push the exit button, etc. to unlock the door. So what's available in the range is what we call a door secure module, and this module communicates with the terminal or the intercom door station via RS485, which is encrypted. Then from this secure module, which is on the secure side of the door, there's a lock output, a external input for exit buttons, external input for additional card readers, etc. So it keeps everything secure on the secure side of the door. We have a quick look at the range of readers that can be connected to the controllers or to terminals. First of all, we've got a fingerprint reader which only communicates via RS485. We've then got three other styles of card readers, whether it be a wall mount, whether it be like an architrave or mullion mount, and also the vandal resistance, the IK10 vandal resistant keypads. They're both available with and without a keypad on them. Now these three styles of card readers will communicate either via RS485 or via the dip switches on the back. You can set them to be WeGAN, and if you set them as WeGAN, can be 26-bit WeGAN or 34-bit WeGAN. In addition to the field card readers, we've also got card issuers. These two models are USB connected, so they connect into your PC running IVMS 4200 or Hike Central, and are used for adding cards into the system. The one on the left is purely for cards, the one on the right is for adding fingerprints. So once you enroll a fingerprint or a card, you can then download it into the controllers, and it's a nice easy way of adding cards without having to enter the card number manually. There's two software packages available for programming the access controllers and also the terminals, and also managing. The first one is IVMS 4200. It's a free software to installers, and it allows you to manage up to 16 controllers or 64 doors. And the second one is Hike Central, and the Hike Central software will allow you to connect up to 32 controllers and up to 128 doors programmable, as well as managing the software. Both of them can obviously manage CCTV, intercoms, access control, and time and attendance all on the one software. Thanks for your time in sitting through this introduction to the Hikvision range of access control. We're proud to be able to present this. So on one solution we can offer a full solution of video intercoms, both villa and apartments, access control terminals, either standalone or connecting back to a network, access controllers, which can, again, on the network, expandable up to hundreds of doors, and interfaces also into the NES M1, so from an access control card reader we can arm and disarm the security system, etc. And also obviously into an NVR, so any event that can occur on an access control, etc. can be recorded, easily played back on an NVR, so everything is totally integrated together and managed either at a IVMS 4200 level or right up to the Hike Central management software, so it gives a great overall powerful total solution. Be sure to check out other videos in this series, which includes the programming and operation of the access control system, and again, thank you very much for your viewing.